After my AFK investigation video, I had briefly mentioned the existence of bots teleporting under the map to loot chests and harvest nodes. Not too long after that, I got a message on Reddit from a user who had previously been investigating them back in 2021. They sent me a Google Drive full of videos of these accounts teleporting and harvesting, as well as a tip-off for Discord servers where such bots are being produced and sold. This is my deep dive into the underground world of Guild Wars 2 clients, bots, and trainers. The videos of these accounts matched exactly to what I had seen myself. They teleport under the map to be unseen by regular players, and they harvest nodes and open chests in rapid succession for massive profits. The reason these characters appear to fall is because they are actually flying. The game client is then trying to predict where the character should be. If they are in the air with nothing beneath them, they should fall. However, from the character's point of view, they are actually stationary in the air while harvesting or looting. Every time they move, the client updates their position from the server and then tries to predict their position again. The type of software that allows this is often called a trainer. A trainer modifies your game's memory, allowing your character to move in impossible ways such as flying, no-clipping, wall climbing, and increased movement speed. They can also increase draw distance to allow players to see impossibly far, or remove fall damage in its entirety. On top of trainers, there are a few other methods that people use to cheat. Macros are programs that automate inputs such as skills or mouse movements, and bots automate the game in its entirety. There are also clients that create their own environment to easily run macros and bots, as well as modify the game's rendering. With current third-party tools, it is impossible to modify server-based attributes such as health, skill cooldowns, or stats. With this footage, I next had to dig into the Discord servers that I was sent. I created new Discord accounts as to not stand out, and started snooping through the server. Upon entering the server, I was greeted with a plethora of hacks, tools, and bots. On top of this, there was also a surprising amount of user-uploaded footage of them in action. To be safe, I scraped the entire server of all of its messages and media to sift through just in case I got banned. The most interesting things I found were bots for PvP, World vs World, Mad King's Labyrinth, as well as an inventory tool that can salvage, deposit, and sort your inventory however you want. Here it is in action, salvaging and sorting 40 stacks of unidentified gear within minutes. Another interesting find was something referred to as automatic combat routines, a tool that automatically does your character's DPS rotation, meaning that you never have to focus on combat. There are a few user uploads of this in action, and they are surprisingly quite good. There were some tools that allowed for scripted teleportation for map completion, but nothing specific to the accounts I had seen harvesting nodes. I did, however, find several links to other Discord servers that provided similar tools. As before, I scraped all of these servers for their media and messages to look over. One server was the main hub for a Guild Wars 2 client that allowed for the running of various different bots and scripts. This client was handcrafted in Godot 4 and featured a video that looked oddly familiar. What you are seeing here is a bot on this client teleporting under the map to collect nodes and chests. This is exactly the same type of bot that I have been observing in the past, with a more up-to-date script. The reason things look a bit strange is because this client has rendered the game with its basic collision mesh, as well as entities and interactable items being shown as default base models. The creator of this bot was kind enough to share the profit breakdowns per map that the bot is programmed to run through. Going through Icebrood Saga, Living World, and Path of Fire maps, this bot is expected to generate 53 gold per hour or 221 gold per run through. While having insane profits, the creator of this bot says that it is extremely niche with only 30 active licenses. 30 active licenses can still be quite significant if each license is being used on multiple accounts. Overall, I scraped through 9 Discord servers and found over 40 different bots, trainers, and tools. The functions of these tools include Inventory Manager, Teleport to Cursor, Teleport to Event, Teleport to Coordinate, Teleport to Node, Automatic Combat for every profession, Bots for Connect Club, Lamplighter, Mad King's Labyrinth, World vs. World, PvP, Fractals, Map Completion, Winter Stay, Harvesting and Fishing, Unlimited Mount, Stamina and Sky Scale Endurance, Mount Speed Boosts, Glider Speed Boosts and Altitude Gain, Wall Climbing, Object Clipping, Floor Clipping, Flight, No Gravity, No Fall Damage and Speed Hacking, Increased Field of View, Display of Map-wide Entity Data and Enemies, Minimap, Enemy Radar, Zoom Modifications, Invisible to Enemies, Gear Checking, Item Removal from Training Post, and Automatic Trading, just to name a few. The majority of which are licensed products, which means that payment is required for usage. There were, however, a few free tools with limited features. While it is quite fascinating or disheartening that these things exist, it is also important to try and understand how many players are active users, how much of an impact they have on the game, and how ArenaNet is managing them. After being sure I had covered everything available to me in the servers, I reached out to some of the creators of the scripts, bots, and even the creator of the client to hopefully learn more about the true number of users and the motivation for creating such tools. One of the lead script developers didn't want to share how many users their product had, though they happily told me about their history creating scripts and bots. They started creating tools privately as a way to learn and improve their coding skills. As people became aware and were willing to purchase the product, it slowly turned into a source of income to help offset the costs of family medical expenses. This developer states that their main reason for creating scripts and bots is to help family and friends who have disabilities, allowing them to play to the level of an able-bodied person. They also go on to say that they don't make anything that affects the economy as to stay on ArenaNet's good side. I'm not sure how much of this I believe, considering that they have created Mad King Labyrinth, Fractal Farm and fishing bots that enable the possibility for massive monetary gain. I personally think that the benevolent idea that they are helping disabled people is far overshadowed by the other users who are just too lazy to play the game and instead choose to cheat their way through. With that said, if helping those with physical limitations is in fact their true motivation, that in itself is admirable. I spoke with the developer of what is likely the largest trainer for Guild Wars 2. They started off with an interest in hacking video games using basic tools such as Cheat Engine. This then evolved into the creation of their first trainer for Guild Wars in 2018. On their website they have 4,000 registered users, and as a common theme with all developers I've spoken with, ArenaNet has not been in contact with them regarding the product. The income from paying users at one point was quite substantial, but most of their motivation comes from learning new skills. In this case, the developer learned how to secure their license, work with APIs, develop websites, and become proficient in C#. All these fantastic skills have helped them land their first job in development. The creator of the third-party client and I sat down for an interview and discussed this whole topic in detail. Hello, it's so good to have you here to speak for everyone. I was wondering if you'd like to start off giving a little bit of information about the client, how long you've been working on it, and what motivates you to keep on with production.
So we actually did start something similar when the game was first released. So back then we did it more business to business, so we didn't really publish it, and it was also without graphical output at the time. We actually started with a normal, just an API for the official client, and then later went over to write the... That then kind of rested for a while, so we didn't really do anything with it. I mean, we didn't sell it or anything. And then I think when MMO Minion went out of business, I got approached by a couple of people if we wanted to release it, and I was like, yeah, sure. And then I kind of got this idea of using the Godot game engine to have the graphical output on top of it. And it seemed like a fun challenge. So then we just started doing the current iteration, if you will, of the... Okay. I mean, for me, it's really just for fun and to see how far I can take this. Selling it is just a nice side benefit. It's not really the end goal. I started playing Guild Wars 1 long before I tried reverse engineering it, right? I got really hooked on it, and at some point it was like, yeah, you have to repeat this one task like 1,000 times to get the thing that you want. And I was like, that doesn't sound like a lot of fun. I hope there's different ways to achieve this. And then that way I kind of got into reverse engineering. At that time, I think he was called. He was writing the Guild Wars client API, which kind of inspired the naming scheme. So it was, and then I helped working on that because it was just more fun automating these tasks than actually doing them. And yeah, kind of stuck with that.
So your client is a licensed-based product. I believe it's €10 per month. I was wondering, how many users do you get monthly on this client?
So, I mean, it fluctuates quite a bit, especially around new expansion releases. So on average, we have around 200 users, I guess, who pay for 300 licenses. So at any one time, there can only be 300 accounts using the peak times. We had around 300 active users with 500 slots. So it's not too big, right? We don't make a living wage from this, not by a long shot. This is just some nice additional income, nothing more. I mean, so far we haven't even taken out any of the money due to the complicated tax situation.
The use of this software and other third-party tools are against ArenaNet's terms of service. How are ArenaNet dealing with bans and suspensions of users of your product?
Most of the time, you won't get banned for stuff like automated commit routines or anything. At least I don't know of anyone that got banned for that. What ArenaNet bans for is mostly real money trading, so RMT, right? And if you abuse it quite a bit. So we had people that were running it 24/7, doing the same thing over and over again for weeks at a time, and then were surprised when they got banned. So I mean, basically, the general recommendation is you don't do the same thing all the time. You don't do it 24/7, and you make sure that ArenaNet cannot link your accounts together. Although I'm kind of surprised you can teleport as much as you can do in Guild Wars 2. I mean, there's basically 0 checks on the server side, it seems. I know that the binary actually does have checks in place, but they seem to be inactive. So I mean, I'm mostly moving around in-game with teleports as well. And so far, none of my accounts have been banned, so yeah.
ArenaNet are surely aware of this tool existing. I was wondering if they've ever been in contact with you, or if you've been in contact with them regarding it?
No, so we have not received any official communication from them. I mean, we sent them a couple of security vulnerabilities in the client. They don't seem to care, so they didn't patch any of those, really. Yeah, I mean, they are also not that critical, I guess, but still. I mean, we even sent them the patch that would fix them. So I basically told them, yeah, here's the security vulnerability in this part of your code. This is the line that is causing the issue. Please patch. But unless it's crashing the economy, they don't really care.
So they haven't been in contact with you regarding taking down this client. But are you worried about any legal ramifications they may put forward against you in the future?
I mean, sure, right? I mean, if they decide to take action, they might at any point decide to take action. Can happen. I mean, we are not doing anything illegal, at least according to German laws. And even the provisions in their terms of service that kind of prevent you from reverse engineering are not really valid in Germany because you have a right to reverse engineer stuff. But I mean, they can certainly try to sue us, and that would cost a lot of money. That is why we basically founded our company with limited liability to at least have some protection from that. Yeah.
So what you're doing technically isn't illegal, but I suppose that puts forward a moral grey area. So how do you feel justified producing a tool that allows people to gain these unfair advantages in game?
I mean, it's a difficult topic, and I understand that a lot of people don't really like this sort of thing. But like, I view like Guild Wars 2 as more playing against the computer instead of playing against other people. I'm not really a fan of hacks in games like Counter-Strike or Dota, so I mean, you might call me a hypocrite for that, but I just feel like the gaming experience is kind of different, and I don't have an issue with cheating against the computer. So, yeah.
I came across an automatic world versus world zerging kind of bot and an automatic PvP bot. How do you feel about that? Because that's sort of your direct competitive play with other people.
Yeah, so I'm not a huge fan of those. to be honest, but there's also not much I can do to stop it. So, yeah.
I suppose overall, looking at everything, do you think that what you've made positively or negatively impacts the community as a whole?
I mean, I've already told you how small it is, so I don't think
Yes.
it actually impacts the game at all, at least right now. I mean, if there's ever a time where there is a significant user base, I also don't think that it will be either or. I think it will be somewhere in the middle, probably, depending on how people use it and how ArenaNet policies it. So, yeah.
Yeah. So you don't think it's significant enough that it's like causing pressure or anything?
No, I mean, there's not enough people using it to have any meaningful impact on the economy or anything else.
Lastly, you've spent so much of your time developing and learning new skills for this project. Has that allowed you to progress in new career directions or any other aspects of life that you otherwise wouldn't have been able to do?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not doing anything remotely related to for my day job, but it certainly helped like with my software engineering skills. So I would say that I wouldn't have been able to get the job that I currently have without this project, or well, all the time that I spent with the Guild Wars series writing like various tools for it. So it certainly had some help in helping me get where I am today.
From what I've learned from these servers and the creators themselves, there isn't a massive amount of people using these tools. The third-party client has a 300 user peak, and the main trainer has approximately 4,000 users. Judging by the Discord server sizes of other tools, it would be fair to estimate that there's 5,000 individual users based on the information I have. This estimate could be substantially higher if we included those who downloaded the software but never involved themselves with the Discord servers or websites. These such players, however, are not included as it is impossible to determine the amount that there are. According to MMOpopulation.com, Guild Wars 2 is estimated to have an active player base of around 136,923 players. If all of the estimated third-party tool users are active, then that only accounts for 3% of the population. This is such a small amount that even if they were aggressively cheating to make gold, they would likely have minimal impact on the overall game economy. The biggest issue they create is the deterioration of competitive game modes such as PvP and World vs World, as these are the most frequent places players are directly impacted by third-party tool users. Players teleporting away to safe locations when losing, into keeps to capture them, or even under the map to kill players while completely safe. Many of the Discord servers I have searched through collect a substantial amount of information relating to account suspensions and terminations of their users. ArenaNet do ban third-party users, and from what I've gathered through player testimony and the information collected, ArenaNet focuses on larger botting operations and real money trading over individual players using third-party tools. New accounts are monitored heavily for wealth gain to catch the creation of new botting operations, while older accounts aren't as strictly moderated. ArenaNet do a relatively good job at finding the larger account farms to shut them down, though there are some methods that are used to avoid detection. For individual accounts, ArenaNet typically follows the trend of the first offence being a 3-day suspension, the second offence being a 7-day suspension, and the third offence being an account termination. The exception to this is when an individual account is rapidly teleporting to collect waypoints, botting for extreme durations of time, trading for real-world money, or if the account is being fed gold from multiple bot accounts, which results in a higher level of suspension or termination immediately. In theory, this is a great system. It gives players a chance to right their behaviour if they make a stupid decision to use third-party tools, while also harshly penalising those with clear malicious intent. In reality, the lack of moderation on older individual accounts means that players can go an extremely long time before even being caught once, let alone 3 times. Many of the users I came across have been using trainers or bots for years without a single suspension. This has allowed for many individuals to make a significant amount of gold in short periods of time. It is easy to criticise ArenaNet for this, though we should give them some slack as it is a very difficult job to moderate a whole game. With none of ArenaNet's back-end resources, I was able to uncover the main accounts of over 700 verified third-party tool users by cross-referencing their Discord user IDs with over 50,000 users of the largest Guild Wars 2 community servers in a little over a day just for a challenge. I believe that individual accounts using third-party tools aren't affecting ArenaNet's profits, optics, or the game economy enough to warrant the increased moderation efforts. Instead, they focus on the easy-to-detect large-scale gold farming operations and real money trading that do. The fact they couldn't even be bothered to fix vulnerabilities in their client when handed the patch gives the impression that they really don't care about moderation. I only hope that in neglecting this type of moderation, ArenaNet are focusing on creating better player experiences through new content, gameplay, and balances, resulting in the net benefit to all players. I want to give a massive thank you to the Reddit user who forwarded me this information and began this investigation. I also want to give a massive thank you to the client creator, script developers, and bot creators who shared their side of the story despite being quite a sensitive and often poorly received topic. Thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you all next time.